You just wait till after the water boils, and then you can just add ingredients in. We're just going to add coffee. We're going to pour that right on top of those aroma hops. So again, use 1 or 2 steeping bags this entire process. You have the initial one right here, and this is the second one for the aroma. Bitterness hops, aroma hops. 2 bags. And you can just add the coffee right into either one. We're going to use this one. It's a little more durable, a little more fine, and hopefully no coffee grains will get into our beer. So we only got a couple more minutes and that's it. So this is our 7th step. You've had this steeping for about 5 minutes. The final 5 minutes, you shut off your heat. So we had steaming for our final 5 minutes. We shut off the heat. We waited till it's, cooled down. That's an additional 5 minutes. So 10 minutes later, take out your bag. We're just going to open it up. And this is where you can add your ingredients. You want to watch out because the steam is pretty hot. Just open up your bag like this. There you go. And just go ahead and add your ingredients. This is Kona Blend coffee. You see it in there. Add it right on top of your hops. So you can see there, it's a nice bag. Got all the coffee in there. And again, just like before, pull the drawstring. Pull that drawstring and tie it off to the end. Make sure it's submerged into your pot. You can just take a look over here and see how it's all in there. And that's step 7.
Come on over, check it out.
You see, and just come on over and check it out. It's just sitting in there. You're going to take out your spoon and just kind of make sure it's nice and submerged. You'll see how it's kind of floating at the top there. Yeah, so you just want to go on and submerge that. There we go. So as you can tell now, make sure every time you put your spoon in the pot, after it's boiling, after the boiling is completed, you just want to go ahead and make sure everything that you put in that pot is sterile. Everything you put in that pot is sterile after the boiling point. So now you just steep it out for a couple minutes and that's it. Step 7. Alright, so this is Matt Power with step 8. We went ahead and we took the grain bag out, we went ahead and took the steeping bag out. So just like before, you just want to let it hang above the pot and just let all the ingredients just kind of trickle out. Not as long as before because you don't need every little inch of these ingredients. You just want enough. It's been in there pretty long and you can see nice and dark this mixture is. This mixture is amazing. Just deep, dark blend. It smells delicious. And again, took no time at all. So step 8, you want to go ahead and remove your steeping bag. And the key at this point is you want to get everything as cold as possible. So you want to get, this is our beer right now, just minus the alcohol. And you want to go ahead and get this as cold as possible. In order to do this, we're going to come over here and you'll see that our sink is going to be filled with ice cold water. And we also got a bag of ice, which is also going to help us really cool this down a lot.
Ooh, yeah.
So what you're going to do is you're going to fill this sink up with nice cold water. Let your faucet run, get it nice and cold. Once it's filled up, we're going to go ahead and add this bag of ice. And then we'll add our pot to it. So step 8, ice cold water. So this is step 8, our ice cold water. We're going to go ahead and bring our beer mixture over here. It's a hot pot.
Yum.
And there we go. You just want to submerge in this nice cold water. Get it cold as soon as possible. And what we did in order to do that, we took a nice bag of ice. You don't even have to use all of it. You just want to submerge it in that nice cold ice. and the temperature is really going to go down. So again, we just took that hot pot, submerged it in really cold water, and now we're just going to let it cool down. What temperature are we shooting for here, Greg?
70 degrees.
70 degrees is what we're shooting for now. So we went from boiling, and we're going to go ahead and rapidly cool this to 70 degrees. And then we're going to go ahead and pitch it. And pitching is just the process of adding yeast to this mixture, and that's what produces the alcohol. So we'll see you for step 9. Alright, so while this is cooling, you have this big bucket, and this is going to be what we call our primary fermenter. This is where the action happens. This is where your beer gains all of its alcohol potency. So at this point, you want to make sure that your bucket is sanitized on the inside. Look at this outside. It doesn't really matter what the outside looks like. It's all about the inside. It needs to be perfectly sanitized. This is your lid. It also needs to be sanitized. A hydrometer if you want to figure out how much alcohol is actually going to be in the beer. And I'm going to go ahead and sanitize my hands, and I'll just show you that. So here's the hydrometer. And based on the readings here, you can really tell exactly how much alcohol that you have. You take one before you pitch your yeast, and that's before you put the yeast in the beer. And you also take one afterwards. And then we have our airlock right here, which is also sanitized. And we'll show you what that's for later on. So after you have all your stuff nice and sanitized, this will complete step 9. Alright, so now you're going to add a little bit of water to your bucket. And that's just to cool it down even further, and also just keeps the mixture from sticking to the bottom of your bucket. So at this point, I would just add about a gallon of water to it. Step 10, you got a little bit of water in the bucket, and now we're going to add this beer mixture to our primary fermenter. And you're going to want to pour it in here nice and slow. I want to make sure you get all the mixture. And you see how it just blends with the water. And now for step 10, you can see right here at the meniscus that we're just under about 4 gallons. You can see a stark line right here. Move that away. There we go. So you can see by our meniscus right here that we're just under 4 gallons. You're going to want to add just enough water to go at about 5 gallons. I like to go a little bit over 5 gallons because you lose a little bit of beer during the process. So as you see right here, we got the same pot that we were brewing in. We fill it up with water, and that way you get all the little, ingredients that you didn't get from the first pour. So Greg's going to go ahead and just gently pour this in to our primary fermenter. So this is step 10, just getting it. You can watch the water level right here. And you're going to want to get that just a bit over 5 gallons. Keep going, keep going.
Keep going.
Alright. See, yeah, I think that's good. Let's add a little bit more. Just for good measure. There we go. That's perfect. So here we are with our 12th step. We got our bucket with everything that we brewed. We got our sanitized spoon. And the most important ingredient. So here we are, the most important ingredient. And Matt, you want to go ahead and explain what we got here?
Well, right here is the brewing yeast. What happens is when you add this, the sugar eats the yeast, and it produces alcohol.
So done. This is what makes the alcohol. And what you want to do is you want to sprinkle it on top of the beer. And just kind of get it nice and even. Just a light dusting. Make sure you get every little bit of this, because this is exactly what makes the alcohol. It mixes with all those ingredients that we just did. And we're going to seal this up for step 12 with our airlock. And then we'll be done with the brew process. So this is the last step. So we put the yeast in, you want to give it a few gentle stirs. You don't want to disturb it too much. You know, it can still be sitting at the top there, but just a good, you know, 4 or 5 stirs.
I think we need to get it in there a little bit.
Alright, so you got 4 or 5 stirs. We're going to go ahead and put the top on. This seals it up. And at this point, you want to be as gentle as you can with the whole bucket. Just slam the top on there and make sure it's airtight. Feel all the way around it. No bumps, no grooves, nice and tight. So then you put your airlock with a little bit of sanitizing solution there. You want to hold that bubble right there so that solution doesn't get in your beer. And pretty much, Matt, go ahead and describe what this airlock does.
Basically, it's a simple gauge of fermentation, but the only real gauge will be the hydrometer, which you'll test it. You can test it anytime during the brewing process. As long as the numbers are getting lower, that means it's starting to ferment.
So essentially, you put this little airlock on top of your bucket, and once it starts bubbling, that's how you know you're making some beer. And also, don't really worry if it doesn't bubble right away. You know, give it a few days, and sometimes some yeast takes longer to react than others. But there you go. The whole brew process took us about 2 to 3 hours, about 2.5, 3 hours. Didn't take long at all. Anyone could do it. This is only our 3rd brew. We're really stoked about it. So there we go. Our Irish stout with our
Happy St. Patty's!
Yeah.